Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Brittany with Horoscope.com. Here are 3 things you need to know in order to make today, Sunday, December 30th, 2018, a success. Now the first thing I want to talk about today is going to be right here where the moon is in Libra. When the moon's in Libra, it brings our attention to relationships, to working with other people, and to also finding more of the balance in our lives as well. Now what we've got going on early this morning, perhaps while many of us are sleeping, is this moon in Libra in a square with Pluto in Capricorn. These days are not my favorite. The reason why they're not my favorite is because Pluto, especially by square, can bring up many fears, insecurities, maybe even arguments that could be a little bit difficult. What these are probably going to be about are going to be fears and insecurities about your relationships, what you're doing with your relationships, where your relationships are going, how you're working with other people to get the results that it is that you want. Could be a little bit afraid about those things, not sure what's going on there, and maybe needing to make some changes with your relationships and with where you see your life going so that the two of those things can work together in a more positive way to give you the outcomes that it is that you are looking for. All right, so that's what we start with early today. Comes on a little bit intense, but it does ease up shortly after that. That's because a few hours later, still, while many of us are sleeping, maybe as some of us are starting to wake up, this moon in Libra is then going to make a sextile over here to Mercury in Sagittarius. This, to me, even if there are some strong feelings, worries, fears, insecurities about your relationships, where your life is going, this to me can help to smooth out some of those fears. What I think can start to happen as you wake up are more positive or productive conversations that you may be having with others, conversations that you may be having with yourself about how you can do new things with relationships, do things differently in a more exciting way with the people that are currently in your life. Maybe at the end of yesterday and into today, you were fearful about some things going on with the other people in your life and how you were moving forward on that. But I think once you move or get around to breakfast time, you at least get more excited about what's going on. You get more of a perspective about what's happening and start to see things or do things and do in different ways that are useful for you. And that happens for a good part of the day. The next alignment will not happen until after lunchtime. After lunchtime, this moon is then going to make a square over here to the nodal axis. We've got the north node in Cancer and of course the south node here in Capricorn. And to me, whenever a planet squares the nodal axis, it makes it super, super important. Many times when this happens, we want to ignore this planet. We want to not do it, but we must. So in this case, working with relationships is going to be key. We could not want to work with people here with this moon in a square to the nodes. Now that we've made progress, ideally, to change our relationships, to do something new, maybe we just want to forget about the work that we did earlier or take a step back. And I think what's going on today, especially as we get to after lunchtime, you have to keep trying to work with the relationships, the other people, the other things in your life to work out all the kinks, to make sure everything's running a little bit more smoothly in the way that it needs to move so that you can eventually start to restore more of the balance back to your life, okay? That's what we've got there. A few hours later, towards dinner time, the moon then makes an opposition here to Uranus and Aries. And what that could bring as you're starting to work with people and do in different ways to do some things that you feel you want and need to put your life in a better place. I think what can come around dinner time is either some unexpected events here, or maybe you start to feel more liberated and more free to do what you want and need. Now that you did what your relationships wanted earlier in the day, or now that you did things that you needed to do to restore more of the balance back to your life, I think once dinner time comes, it becomes easier for you then to take back your own power, do more of the things that you want and need. All right, and that's what's going to happen for today. That last alignment is going to be as we move towards bedtime. Moon's going to leave Libra and move into Scorpio here as well, bringing our focus inward deeply to things that we're feeling inside our soul. Also brings our attention to working with our relationships more intimately. Okay, so that was a lot that the moon's doing today, but the main focus is figure out what's going on with your relationships. Don't be afraid to make changes there. Don't get upset if things aren't feeling right in relationships. Work all that stuff out today. Have the conversations that you need with people, and I think by the nighttime you're going to start to feel more free to do the things you need after doing them. Now the second thing I want to talk about today, maybe I will go to I'll go to Mars, Chiron again, since this is an alignment that's almost exact but is starting to move further away. Mars is coming into, or is leaving a conjunction with Chiron. This can bring up some sensitivities about the past, about old things in your life. Could also bring up internal sensitivities, wounds, fearful about how you do things, in what way. Could be a lot of emotional baggage going on. And I think the message of this is you got to kick those fears. You got to kick these things from the past. The past is still hanging around. And the past will never quite leave us. It's always going to be around, but the past doesn't have to feel like such dead weight. It doesn't have to feel so heavy. It doesn't have to feel so hard, even if old things are still with us. And I think that's what's going on today. Maybe we need to address some things from the past that have been hard for us so that we can work better with our relationships and do things in different ways moving forward so that the old things don't hurt us anymore. And I think the message of this alignment is you gotta overcome your fears. You have to move forward. You can't let your emotions drag you down, weigh you down, prevent you from doing the things that it is that you need, even if inside you're a little frightened or nervous. Now, the third and last thing that I want to talk about, I'm going to go right here. The sun is still coming into a conjunction with Saturn. I think this is going to be very, very welcome. We have a lot of intense things going on with relationships. A lot of things we're kind of fearful about. Still working out some internal stuff that could be uncomfortable. But sun in conjunction with Saturn is saying, okay, you got to get a handle on it. I know you're fearful. I know you're upset. I know there's a lot of things happening, big changes going on in your life. But you got to be a little bit more disciplined here. You got to control your emotions. You got to put more structure and discipline into your life. And I do believe with the Sun Saturn happening at the same time all this stuff is going to happen, it's going to help us to figure out what we need to do and to make the decisions in a more positive way and a more stable way to bring more of the I don't know if power is the word, or bring more of the power and more of the authority back to our lives as individuals that we feel like we have been missing. So even though there could be some hard stuff going on, I like this Sun Saturn helping you say, you know what? This sucks. This happened to me and it was really bad, but this is what I got to do. This is how I got to do it, and I got to pick up the pieces and move on. And I think if you can do that today, put some of your feelings aside you after you honor those things, I think it's going to help you start to move on, working with people in much better ways. So that is your daily planetary forecast for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow.